Hollywood and Disney are terrified. Terrified of a giant, walking, monstrous lizard creature from Japan. That's right, Godzilla has stomped into the US box office, and in the very brief time that it's allowed to play on screens, it has created screams across Hollywood. And the reason being, well, Godzilla was made for slightly more than $15 million total, and yet it looks like it was made for $300 million total. Now, studios are beginning to wonder, can they even compete now with international studios who clearly have the right stuff and have budgets operating at 1/10 the cost of our stuff? Hello, folks, and welcome back. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's the job that we have been given by the cosmos. Fate itself has reached down and handed us this task, and we are happy to do so each and every day. Thank you all for being here. We have Spencer from Bounding Into Comics joining us today, as well as L.W. Ghost, a writer, a prolific writer for thatparkplace.com, and an individual with a distinct career in Hollywood. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you.
Always happy to be here, and always happy to see the spookiness to my side over here.
That's right. All right. Well, something that's spooking Hollywood is Godzilla, and it's not spooking Hollywood because it's doing so amazingly well. It's spooking Hollywood because it's so darn profitable. We'll talk about that. You would think that would be a good thing, but hold on, folks.
I thought you were gonna say they were scared by the big giant monster on screen.
Well, you know, that heat ray is impressive this time around.
It would vaporize the water in Bob's shower.
Look out,
a steam
hippos!
bath.
Anything but that. Anything but that.
Godzilla Minus One breaks multiple box office records. This by Hannah Gearin out of Screen Rant. Here's what it says. We'll skip these little summaries and we'll go straight to the article. That's right. Godzilla Minus One has broken multiple box office records from Japanese production company Toho. Godzilla Minus One is the latest Japanese interpretation of the classic kaiju tale, wherein the monster is decimating cities in a post-war, post-atomic bombing of Japan. Godzilla Minus One was released on December 1st and is currently in theaters. After its release this past weekend, Collider reports that Godzilla Minus One has broken multiple box office records, including now having the biggest domestic opening for a foreign language movie this year, grossing $11 million at the U.S. box office. Godzilla Minus One has the second highest debut for any live-action foreign language film, only beaten by 2002's Hero. Furthermore, this total makes Godzilla Minus One the largest ever domestic debut for a Japanese live-action film. It's only a shame that it can't stay in theaters longer, although that's a more complicated discussion. Godzilla Minus One's box office total is astounding for multiple reasons, but among them is the film's relatively, no, it's not just relative, low budget. With an estimated budget, folks, hang on to your hats, an estimated budget of $15 million. And I'm here to tell you, if you've seen the film, you know it looks like it cost $300 million. No, it is $15 million. It is 12 times less expensive than Wish. Godzilla Minus One has nearly made back its budget in the domestic totals alone. And Screen Rant, I have great news for you. It already has made back its budget because it already cleared that in Japan. On a global scale, the film has already more than doubled its budget and earnings. Screen Rant, congratulations, you knew that. Raking in roughly $35 million worldwide. But I'm here to tell you that every dollar it's making in the U.S. is profit, and it seems to me that likely this movie is going to go until December 31st. There are some contractual reasons that it probably can't go into January, and I think that there was originally a plan to hold it only for 2 weeks at theaters, but given its success and given how badly theaters need this success, I venture to say that they'll do whatever it takes to keep this on and playing. And I would suggest, folks, don't wait. Given the risk that this could go away shortly, you should run, not walk, to the theaters and get your tickets to go see Godzilla.
And Brian, don't monster stomp.
Especially this weekend if it's at an IMAX near you, because the IMAX screens are going to be taken over by Willy Wonka and other things here after this.
Well, I actually, to that end, Lou, and Mr. Pro, I actually have to put a damper, which is, yes, I think we'll try to. I know I'm such a spoil sport over here. That's what we do at Bounding Into Comics. We spoil sport. No, unfortunately, I think that while studios or the theaters themselves will want this to, have legs and go into January and last as long as they want, the official end date for its theatrical run is Thursday. folks, you have 3 days, including the day this video was published, to see -1 in theaters in IMAX anywhere.
Spencer, can you quickly, and I don't know now, this goes way into the weeds. Tom Connor of Midnight's Edge explained this to me, but can you give us the synopsis very quickly of why this movie will leave so fast?
Essentially, this movie is going to leave fast because, as great as it is, as much as we all love good movies, solid movies, it is still a niche film. It is a Japanese-only production. It is, no dub, only subtitles. It is a niche property. Unfortunately, still kind of. We have seen success with the legendary Godzilla movies, but that's almost a sort of different market than the Toho Godzilla movies. You're going to have a lot of overlap, don't get me wrong, but what appeals to the Western audiences who love the, Aaron Taylor Johnson side story from the first movie aren't necessarily going to love all the, political intrigue, the deep human stuff from -1, or all the very Japanese-centric stuff. So it's more of a cultural divide. It's not a giant divide. Don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not saying that, Western audiences don't like Japanese things. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying, obviously, this is a secondary market as opposed to Godzilla's Japanese primary market.
Now, I'm looking. I still have it showing in theaters come this Saturday. I'm going to check and see.
Good.
I'm going to check and see. So it's still playing, according to what I have with Fandango, it's still playing Monday, December 11th. Let's check December the 14th. Still showing, but then by that Friday, you're exactly right. By Friday, December 15th, it's gone from every screen that I have. I would suggest, now, what I think is happening is that there's a contractual obligation for Godzilla to exit and not play in the same year as... Which company, Lou, has the monster movies?
I don't remember which one, but there's another Godzilla movie coming out from another producer entirely.
Yes, and it's not allowed to play in the same year.
Godzilla is kind of open season on monsters as far as copyright is concerned anymore. So you too can make a Godzilla movie if you'd like to, but getting it out there is another story. And they guaranteed, clear the window, we don't want the same character out there competing with itself. I would suggest to you the folks at Toho were perfectly happy with that, because although they knew what they had, they knew America didn't know what they had. And when we say, well, they like you say, Spencer, that it's a niche market, as people who go to rubber monster movies, as Culture called them the other day.
Yeah.
This is a movie for people who don't. And if you read the reviews and you read the comments on our review video, you have all these people, including myself, telling people, if you don't normally go to a Godzilla movie, you'll like this because it's a human movie that happens to have a monster in it.
That's a
much bigger audience, potentially.
It's like somebody said, I want to make a film that is of the quality of say, The Godfather or Bridge of Spies, or something that's very, very well done. And you know what? If it's got Godzilla in it, so be it. I'll make that movie. That's
instead of putting a chick in it and making her lame and gay, it's put a rubber monster in it and make him breathe fire.
Great. That's right.
Awesome. Yeah. Fire.
Only it works, as opposed to the alternative with Cartman's version.
But Lou, here's the question for you.
The Marvels just set the lowest MCU box office record. Okay, Lou, come on.
We can't even be sure of those numbers anymore, Spencer.
That makes it a legendary movie, though. So anyway.
Well, Lou, I want to ask you, given your vast history working in the industry, this budget at $15 million allegedly. Now, Tom at Midnight's Edge has said that he's heard from his sources that this could climb as high as 30, but it's probably somewhere between 15 and 30. Whatever. I guess what matters is when you compare this to the Marvels, which is easily going to be in above $300 million, despite what some have said. When you look at Wish, which has a price tag according to Film Threat that has talked to some of the animators, it has a price tag of $250 million. When you look at this film, which is incredible, and it looks incredible, and it has a price tag of $30 million or less, Lou, what is Hollywood going to do if other places in the world can outperform them for 10 times less money?
I hate to break the bad news, but the answer in short is not much. There is a famous, famous story when Easy Rider, which we all probably remember or remembering if you saw it later, came out and became the biggest box office movie in the history of the movies, and it was made for $980,000. And the previous holder of that title was Sound of Music with Julie Andrews, which was made for a then astonishingly big, comparable to these Marvel movies now, $4.5 million. The question went around Hollywood, do you think the studios will now make movies for $1 million? And the answer that came back from the wags that was sadly true was no, because you can't steal $1 million out of $1 million. So
I actually can define that.
And I'm not, and however you define stealing, if you define stealing as having 87 executives all in the pipeline and getting paid for doing something, for not supervising on the set as much as they should, according to Bob. But all of those costs that are baked into what their standard practices are there. Now, if anybody got smart, could they get it down to that price? No. But they could certainly cut back. I mean, we obviously know that all these overinflated, crazy movies shouldn't have spent that much. But the whole key, as I've said from the very beginning of this, is A, you got to have a script that's really ready and really works and doesn't need a bunch of rewriting on the set as you go along. And B, you got to hold them to it. You got to be able to say no. People have been asking, what's this Peltz guy going to do to change everything? He can't change everything. He's just one guy, even if he's on the board, whatever, if he gets 3 seats. The first thing he can do is say no. The first thing he can do is be somebody there who doesn't rubber stamp every move they make and just say no. What was the old drug program under, what was it, Nancy Reagan?
Just say no.
Just say no.
Winners don't do drugs.
Well, winning studios don't do $400 million epics that make 50 cents, maybe $1. So will this change Hollywood? No. But what it will do is it will open the door to a lot more foreign movies to get into especially with the dearth of product that we know is now upon us because of the strikes.
Okay, so let's go beyond that, Lou, and let me pick your brain on this. So let's set aside the idea that there are more of these types of beautiful pieces of artwork that should be brought to the domestic box office and will turn a profit by doing so. Set that aside for a moment, and let's go a little deeper and say, if I'm a distributor at this point, why would I not be reaching out to, let's say, the director of Godzilla Minus One, Takashi Yamazaki, and saying to him, you made this for $15 million to $30 million. Make whatever you want. Here's an IP, make whatever you want in Japan, totally separate from us, and then we're going to bring that in. In other words, why would the distributors not be proactive in throwing chump change into other markets and then bringing that in and sidestepping the guilds? If you're a distributor interested in that sort of money.
They certainly should and could. The other example from the past is Sergio Leone. Sergio Leone made these westerns in Spain with Italians, and it took 3 of them, a fistful of dollars, a few dollars more, and then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, to not only make Clint Eastwood a star, but to make him somebody Hollywood wanted to work with. And he finally said, I had this idea for a movie called Once Upon a Time in the West, and for the first time, he actually got to shoot in America, in Monument Valley. In fact, I've told the story. He packed up dirt from Monument Valley back before the national parks or whoever would have complained, and schlepped it back to Rome, to Cinecittà, so that when they were in this interior set, on the set in Rome on a soundstage, and the door opens and it's windy, they could blow in the real dirt so it would be the same color.
Oh, wow.
And he still made it
that's
cheap.
Dedication.
Well, that's what these guys who are artists do, as opposed to people who, well, I'm not quite sure what was going on the set. I didn't know where I stood from day to day, but I was the director. This whole idea of, well, we needed more supervision. Well,
we'll cut it up in editing. That's where we'll find the movie.
The Directors Guild says that's what I do. I direct. I supervise. So anyway, the other thing that this movie takes away from the argument against these films, and it's a big issue, and it's a long-standing issue, and I don't think it's getting enough attention in the light of all the other things about this movie, it's subtitled. That was the kiss of death. Oh, American audience won't sit there and read the damn movie. It won't happen. Want to bet? Give them a story that matters, and they sure as hell will. And suddenly we're talking not just about Japan, but we're talking about Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Asia, all over the place. These movies can get in here.
And furthermore, I would say that if you release a sequel and you give it the proper attention and marketing and all of that. If the sequel comes out in 2-3 years, if that's what they want to do, even if it's subtitled, you give this the proper amount of attention and marketing spend, this movie can easily make $200 million. And if you're making it for 15, then good Lord, the profit.
You've seeded the audience is the point. Of course, funny things happen with dubbing, you know. There's a famous case where an American movie was dubbed into Spanish. And in the scene, it was a highway patrolman, and he rides up alongside the car that the hero's driving and says, "Pull over, buddy." You know how the Spanish translated that? He said sweater. No. He said sweater. Pull over. They didn't quite get the context.
I'm so embarazada for the translators, and if you speak Spanish, you'll get that joke.
Yes.
But Spencer, I want to go to you now because speaking of trying to find the money that is not there, we've got this story that broke literally hours ago. Pixar's Soul, Turning Red, and Luca are coming to theaters after Disney Plus debuts during the pandemic. This, I think, is chasing the kind of cash that Godzilla is making. Disney has already invested everything. You would think that there's only upside to this, but I would argue that that's wrong. And I'll explain in just a moment. Let's read the article. This by Jordan Moreau. But Pixar's Soul, Turning Red, and Luca are coming to theaters after they originally had streaming-only releases on Disney Plus. Whereas most people might think that this is a way to cash grab at a time when theaters are not going to have content, I kind of feel like this is a vanity play for Pixar. It's to build up their self-esteem and say, oh no, we did put them in theaters. But here's what it says. The 3 movies will come to theaters nationwide in 2024 with tickets going on sale January 2nd. Soul is coming to theaters on the 12th. Turning Red will be on February 9th. And Luca arrives on March 22nd. Now, here is my concern for Pixar and for Disney, and if I were advising them, and maybe we are right now, maybe we're unofficially advising them. They have seen the light and now they're coming here. But here's the worry I have. I think Luca will do fine. I think Soul could do okay. I think Turning Red fits right into the mold of what people are ready to not go see. Yeah. And I worry that there's a backlash that has formed now such that these 3 movies may go out there and you could have back-to-back-to-back failures at the box office for movies that don't sit in the fail category because by default they didn't get to go fail. They just went to Disney Plus. And I don't, I get the vanity at play. I get that there's extra money to be made. I get that there's almost no cost involved in putting these on the screen, but there's a reputational risk here that is tremendous. Spencer, your thoughts?
So you've hit the nail right on the head as far as I'm concerned, which is there's absolutely that reputational damage, that sort of meta damage that these studios don't always look at. They chase that easy profit because, of course, like you said at the top, Pro, they're already made, they're already done, throw them in theaters, blah, 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 easy profit, right? That's probably what the bean counters are thinking. But then there's like you said, the reputation that comes from not only, releasing these films again, but just the scumminess, the obvious corporate desperation coming off of this move, right? Like Turning Red didn't do that great. Okay, yes, you were right. None of them released in theater, so they didn't get a chance to fail. But in terms of reception among audiences, Soul did great. Turning Red, not so much. Luca sort of got in the middle there. That kind of went under the wayside. Now, I think, I don't, it just feels really bad. It feels I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. It's almost unfair of Pixar to do to a movie like Soul or Luca because I also don't know how many people are going to go see this because we've all already seen it. They've all already been out there. It's been years for some of these movies. Soul was 2020, and it was that was their big holiday pandemic promotion. Come see this. Come watch this. Our only other competition is Wonder Woman 84. What else are you gonna do, right? That was their big move, and so now you're trying to. It feels like they're trying to almost make a move like they do with the re-releases of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, where animation fans love this, Disney fans love these movies. We're gonna get that extra, box office pull and the pull from families who just need to go out and do something. And it's just, I don't think it's going to be worth it to have everybody go, this is sad. This is sad. And then when they all inevitably don't perform that well and they don't really change the discussion in terms of their performance and return, now you're just going to have double bombs sitting on your plate, right? You're going to have your own Morbiuses.
First,
3 of them.
First, I dispute the statement that they haven't already failed, so let's let them fail.
True.
Because what they failed to do was boost subscriptions to Disney Plus, which is what they were intended to do.
That's a great point.
Secondly, so that's a big fail. That's a huge fail. Secondly, for better or worse, and certainly mostly for worse, and entirely of their own making, nothing with the Disney or the various Disney IP label on it exists in a vacuum anymore. And I got to tell you, I haven't seen any of these. But from what I understand, particularly about Red, for Bob Iger to say, well, we're going to turn down the volume, and then there's this shoved in your face, it's kind of one more nail in the he doesn't tell the truth very often, does he, coffin for this guy and for this company. So I don't know what they'll make. They'll make something. But I think this is more effective. Well, the theaters are empty, and we've got a couple of things. And then my question is, if you are a Disney Plus subscriber, whether you watch these or not, if you say, gee, it used to be I got Disney Plus because I was willing to wait till it came out of the theaters and went on Disney Plus, just like I used to wait until it was on Netflix or Amazon back when they made money on these things. Now I wonder if I need to subscribe knowing that they're eventually going to put it out in the theaters, and I can make a choice then after reading reviews, after knowing more about it, and say yes or no, as opposed to, well, I'm stuck with it. I already paid for the subscription.
So now it's the concern of the ecosystem completely 180ing, right? And now
exactly,
it's like,
exactly.
I don't know if I'm going to sign up for that movie ticket. I need to wait for reviews.
Well, I'm always looking for the win. And in this scenario, I don't see a tremendous win available, right? So there's 2 ways this plays out in the most likely scenarios, and neither way is good for Disney. Let's say that these come out and they do a mediocre level of success, because I don't think that a tremendous, crushing level of greatness is coming to the box office via these 3. So once you take that off the table, right, that's the win. That is exceedingly unlikely. So then what you're left with is 2 other scenarios. Let's say that these 3 movies come out and they do middling and they make some money for Disney. Fine. The problem there is that if that happens and they're on streaming and they've been on streaming for a year, you have essentially nuked, to go back to the Godzilla idea, you have nuked the narrative that you had in the press that, oh, well, folks are waiting for these movies to come out on Disney Plus. They're not willing to go see them at the box office with their families because they've been trained like Pavlov's dogs to wait for this. So that will be gone then. Now, I don't know if the media would try to continue saying that.
You can make that judgment and be right. Whether anybody out there cares, I don't know at this stage,
Right. And then the other, though, Lou, the other scenario is that they go out there and they do just as badly as the latest Disney fare has done. And in that case, what you've done if you're Bob Iger is you've said, okay, well, we have been humiliated quite a bit this year. Why don't we see if we can do that 3 times in a row in about 3 months? And really kaboom 2024 right off the bat.
But the other thing to remember, these are not going to go in the bigger houses. They're going to go in the little bitty theaters in the corner of the multiplex.
Right, the room closets.
And they're not going to spend a lot on promoting them. It's just literally going to be you walk up to the door and there's nothing there, well, let's go see this. It's going to be one of those.
And maybe like a banner on Disney Plus, like where you already
and especially because if they spent a lot of money on promotion, they would be more embarrassed if they say, well, we just put them out there because there were holes in the schedules and we didn't expect a lot from it. It did all right. That will be their excuse.
The thing I would like to wrap up the video with to bring this full circle is, if you combine the budgets for those 3 films at the lowest level that we believe is possible, those 3 films combined have just a production, not a marketing, but just a production budget of $600 million. And Disney is going to get a minuscule amount out of the box office. When you compare that to Godzilla at $15 to $30 million and how it's doing, you can quickly see how the Disney model and Hollywood at large, but Disney is by far and away the most egregious to this level. You can see how the Disney model is just not sustainable if the rest of the world begins throwing their excellent content our way.
It's much worse than that, and let me tell you what I mean.
Yeah.
These movies were never big either way, right? We know from the 10K that they've admitted everything comes from the theatrical hits, the theme parks, the cruises, the merch, everything.
And folks, that's the SEC filing called a 10K
the annual report of the finances of the company. So let me ask you a question. What was that total number you just gave us for those three movies?
$600 million, the lowest that we could.
What do you suppose they
possibly
spent on Moana's Journey of Splash Pad? A hell of a lot less than that with a hit movie, and that was the best thing they could put in the parks to tie into that hit IP that everybody rightly loves.
Right, that's exactly right.
All money is fungible, whether you spend it in the parks or the movies or on a cruise ship. And how are they making these decisions? You know, the parks guys want it all in the parks, and the movie guys want it all in the movie. I get that. That's their corner of the world. But the job of the people at the top is to allocate these funds to these various places in the place with the most punch. So if you say, A, we make all our money out of hit movies, B, we got a huge hit movie. C, let's tear up the center of a park, make everybody walk past construction walls, and for 4 years, and at the end of it, we'll have this little thing. Topiaries. Nothing different than what we had at Disneyland 50 years ago.
Lou, this is what so many of the pro-Disney blogs out there don't understand. There's an opportunity cost. So if it's cute to put the splash pad in for Moana. But Moana, with the ecosystem, with the financial ecosystem surrounding that massive hit, Moana is the most popular Disney princess by far, and that's per Disney Plus ratings.
You bet.
That should have its own massive attraction. That is where you should be putting all of your money if you're Disney, wanting to drive more attendance into Disney parks. And instead, because this company is run lately with utter incompetence, you have a splash pad in the middle of Epcot. It makes no sense on so many levels that you just have to sit back in awe.
And it precludes doing a good one somewhere else in the other parks later.
Yes.
One of the big objections people are making to, they're not going to put Indy in where dinosaurs was at Animal Kingdom. The reason for doing it is it's the same ride, the same track, the same layout. They already have Indy in the stunt show. They don't need a second Indy thing. Well, they sure as heck are not going to build a second Moana thing after their wonderful effort turned out this.
Exactly. I think it goes to show that there is an abundance of incompetence at all levels of Disney, but perhaps movies like Godzilla Minus One will be able to jostle the industry enough that they say, you know what? We're making all these agreements with the guilds and with everybody involved, and everybody's getting money off the slush fund that has been Hollywood, but they're about to eat our lunch all across the world if we continue this, because these budgets are absolutely bloated beyond control.
And they don't need us if they can make a profit in their own country like they did with Godzilla. Yeah. They don't need us. We're gravy. They can cut a harder deal with us now that they've proven it, because they don't need us. We need them.
That's right. And that global haul that you need for your box office success just became far more challenging. Spencer, something that's not challenging at all is finding you on boundingintocomics.com. Tell us what you got coming up over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So today I obviously have the Pixar story on my docket. We have a lot of anime news coming out, some Star Wars editorials, and anything else that might come down the pipeline. Like Pro said, the Disney news came out very early this morning, so who knows what else is ready to shoot down that pipeline. So yeah, come check us out on Bounding, and we'll see you there.
That's right. And Spencer brings up that Disney has been, we will talk about this for maybe years to come. And that is the independent audit of the Walt Disney Company that will have ramifications. It could actually impact the future of U.S. law. We're not exaggerating, and folks will be covering that on this channel on December 6th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss that one, not for a second. Mr. Ghost, you also have been writing for thatparkplace.com.
In fact, I just got a commission to write about the wonderful legal world of Disney, and especially Andrew of Legal Mindsets videos. So that's my next project this afternoon. But meanwhile, speaking of science fiction and its origins, I see where our latest Genre Guys video just went up for members only, where Lauren and Tommy Tables and I talk about Forbidden Planet.
And that is one of the most popular series of member-exclusive content we have. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and members love that content. So
just a teaser, if you're a Star Trek fan out there and you wonder how come it's NCC 1701, watch our video. You'll learn why.
There you go.
And you never thought a 1956 sci-fi movie would tell you that, but we will.
And that is how we keep you ahead of the culture curve, ladies and gentlemen, explaining entertainment with experts who know far more than us when it comes to all different areas of expertise. We are so appreciative to Spencer and Mr. Ghost for being here today. Folks, if you appreciated this video, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not here. And drop down what you are thinking. We would love to have you be part of a dialogue with the entire community. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Things are going down the crapper. It's not good for investors. It's not just one bad decision. You're getting a call from Trian. Dang it, Bob! Your spending's been illegal. Your leadership is fatal. We expect more leaks and rumors. Makes no sense hiring. Disney is so unstable. What's the profitability timetable? It's time to fire Iger. This is just another Budweiser. Dang it, Bob! Your lives are quite a feature. More entertaining than what's in theaters. For a guy who reads the weather, you clearly are not too clever. Go fund yourself, Bob.